Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Bone podcast. We got a kick-ass show ahead for all of you. We're going to be discussing the Blast TGE and what I would argue the definition of bag bias and how that can impact a lot of things you see go down in the crypto space, myself included. I also want to discuss the future of layer twos. Should we buy base tokens? Base doesn't have a token. Optimism versus Arbitrum versus Base. Why are we buying these tokens? I had a little bit of an epiphany last night that I want to discuss with you guys. And a little bit about the celebrity meme coin Meta. I checked them this morning, and I'm like, oh, straight up, these things aren't dying. Jason Derulo's got some legs, so I want to talk about that a little bit with Easy.
Clemente, we got breaking news, though.
All right, breaking news, hit it.
We got breaking news. VanEck has officially filed for a spot Solana ETF. As of 9 a.m. this morning, Sol's up 5% to $145. I'm just saying. Whoa, far from that. Far from the death music you just played. What the hell? We're alive and well, baby. We're alive and well. I'm just saying. There was a certain person on this show. There's a certain person on this show that at $125 with confidence said the Solana bottom's in. I said the bottom's in. The bottom's in. We're now back into that middle box range.
All right, can we go through this ETF real quick? What's going on here? So VanEck, is it an application? What are we looking at? What makes
this S1 application? So the same S1 application that they had put in place for the ETTF, the same one as well. So it's an exchange traded fund, an ETF. And VanEck did the same thing with Bitcoin. They did the same thing with Ethereum. This is monumental.
Why is it monumental? It's just an application, right?
Yes, but based on the past acceptances that we've seen so far this year, if this one goes, Canada just applied for an ETF as well for Solana. Grayscale has one trading OTC that's way overpriced, to be completely honest. That's currently trading. This is big though, because you got to think. My stipulation, my belief, my thesis was actually that an XRP one would get approved. Up 7.6%.
I mean, nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call a piss missile. Solana. So to summarize, VanEck has filed an application for the Solana ETF. We're seeing an 8% pump in Solana. This is breaking news that we're seeing play out right now. Easy is absolutely licking his chops right now because he put his reputation on the line. He put it out there and he said, hey, look, I'm longing Solana 125. This is the bottom. Nick disagreed with it yesterday. People called you a dum-dum, Easy. They called you names. They called you a lot of different things. Yep. And what'd you do? You stuck to your guns. You plowed a big old meatball into it at 125 or 130, whatever it was. Congratulations. Congratulations, big dog. How does it feel?
Job's not finished. Job's not finished. $700 or bust. Job's not finished.
So So I was real quick. I was on the Ordinal show last night. I was getting drilled a little bit. One of the questions that came up was like, why do I feel more comfortable spending Solana versus Bitcoin, and why do I even hold Solana? And eventually, I was like, dude, well, my thesis is that Solana dominates or vastly outperforms Bitcoin over the next 12 to 18 months. Right. When I looked at it, they kind of like drilled me on that. So when you look at Bitcoin versus Solana, and we'll get on with the show for the next 12 months, what is your price estimate for Bitcoin versus Solana and how these two kind of play out?
Price estimate is kind of tough for like Bitcoin versus Sol over the next 12 months. You said,
yeah, like I'm just curious. Like, so Solana bull case does what, a 3x from here, right? On like the best case scenario,
145, 290, a 4x,
a 4x, and Bitcoin does what, 2x, 3x,
2.2.
So okay, that was my thought process. Like, okay, like it's not that I don't want Bitcoin. It's that I would rather own Solana for now. Right. And I got like pushback on that, which I thought was interesting. But anyways, okay. Well, look, this is very interesting.
It is interesting. Well, I mean, it's just an application for now, but it's interesting because it's heading in the right direction. What I'm curious to see is the timeline, because a lot of people on the timeline have been saying, you know, Wall Street won't understand Ethereum. Why would anyone buy ETH when you have Bitcoin? Like, the case for Ethereum, the case for Ether within an ETF at least on a timeline, the sentiment's not that positive. For Bitcoin, super positive. For Ether, it's a bit like, TradFi just won't get it. I'm really curious to see whether this sentiment stays with Solana, as to what would be the like how would Wall Street explain this to people, whether we see that kind of sentiment or whether we see like this totally makes sense. Solana is the retail chain. It's off to the races.
I think it's even easier than that. I think Anatoly and Raj had one of the best ways to create an analogy for Sol. They said they wanted to bring the NASDAQ on chain. Lightning fast transactions, instant settlement layer, being able to trade real world assets and other technical assets directly on chain, completely verifiable with on chain data. And when you explain that there's no need for record keeping and all this other stuff because it's all done through code and it's lightning fast and instant, that's the easiest way to explain it. You say we're bringing the NASDAQ on chain. And that's like, to TradFi, that's like, oh shit. Okay, they understand what on chain means. They know it's verifiable. They know that it's a permanent ledger. They know that history can never be wiped. And when you explain it in that capacity and relate it to something that TradFi understands, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then that opens up
why does Solana get the NASDAQ on chain and Ether doesn't get the S&P 500 or whatever index you want to use there on chain?
It's based on the actual, like, think about it. ETH, you have to pay exorbitant fees when volume's high, which is not like the S&P. On the other side of it, you have this whole situation with, like, that's the main thing, is like the high volume, longer time to settle, all that other stuff that becomes a little bit more difficult. Like, that's the main thing. It's like the actual technical level of it. That's the main thing, is like the actual way that the technology of the blockchain works here. Not so much the volume on ETH is significantly higher, but I like the argument that ETH is the application layer. It's where people are building applications at scale, and that makes more sense. Like, there's a lot, the smart contract security is much higher. That's the biggest win, I think, for ETH. And like, that makes sense to me just from like a technical standpoint, is that the Ethereum side of things being the app layer, which like a website during the .com bubble, that makes sense. So when you start to break it down into like things that relate, Bitcoin's digital gold. Ethereum's like the .com app layer, web browser, etc. Solana, instant transactions, fast settlement layer, monetary transactions at scale. Like, those are three separate use cases that can all fit. And that's probably the best way that I would try to describe each of them. And then you have Cardano, which is like the trash can.
I like your thesis for all this. I mean, easy. Someone needs to hire you and just tell those Wall Street guys how to pitch this to their clients. But no, I like what you're saying. I'm interested to see if we see that sort of sentiment on the timeline, or whether we're going to see a bit of a bag bias in terms of how this will be pitched in the future. If Solana gets an ETF, I'm very happy because I'm bag biased, obviously. But yeah, let's hit this. That is great news to see. And I want to see if BlackRock put in the same application. We need the big guys to come in
later. BlackRock will come in later, in my opinion. VanEck is a little bit more fire from the hip, I would say. Like, they'll let it fly a little bit more because they're open to the rejections. They're open to the adjustments. But VanEck was also one of the first ones for the ETH ETF, which then led to the others to be like, oh shit, we don't want to be behind the ball. And it seems like because we've gotten ETH so quickly, it does feel like they know what they have to put into these S1s to now get it approved. They've now understood what is required to get these streamlined. ETH, the main thing that they made them take out was the staking. That was the one piece of information they actually had to take out from that because of some still, I don't know if I want to say sketchy, but some concerns from the SEC and the FDIC. The other thing that actually happened today was Coinbase is officially going on the offensive and is suing the SEC and the FDIC as a negligence for the Freedom of Information Act, as they requested information from the SEC and the FDIC from a lawsuit last year, and said that the SEC has been withholding information. Rather interesting.
So okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what to make of this other than they're just coming back at Gary Gensler. So, okay, the other thing. So, okay, this is also so I'm seeing a VanEck Solana trust. So what's the difference between a trust and the ETF? I'm seeing, I'm reading the application that was submitted. So this is not necessarily the ETF. This is actually a trust.
Trust is a closed end. So that means that it's not open to the public. Like, there's caps on it and other things. Investment trusts are actively managed. So it means that they're constantly adjusting positions, moving things, and making changes, while ETFs are passively. They kind of just let it work. And then ETFs, typically larger market performances. Investment trusts usually go into like companies, businesses, some other things. So we could even see like if it's a trust, we could see them do like alts, like they could buy Jupe, Jito, some of these other things that are in Solana versus an ETF, which more times than not, it's the market or equity side of it. So they would just be buying spot Sol.
ETF is more available to retail, you would say, versus trust.
Yes, 100% more available to retail.
Got it. Okay. Well, look, I don't know where Signal went, but while we're waiting for it to come back, so Easy, are we going to see a little? So if this Solana narrative starts heating up here, which, so well, we've spoken to the Bloomberg bros about this. We've seen that like Solana, can a Solana trust or Solana ETF, it can't get approved until the Solana is a security narrative gets cleared up, right?
No, it could theoretically be approved before that. That's the thing. Like the ETH not being marked as security came after the approval of the S1.
Got it.
That's the thing. Like it's not a hard requirement for them to approve that.
Got it. And the last piece on this is obviously we saw the little the recovery from Solana from 125 to
1 sec, real quick. I'm seeing some of the comments saying they're confused if it's a trust or not. If you actually read the VanEck report, Mert actually shared this as well in the SEC filing, and I'm putting it in the private chat so we can pull it up. The trust is an exchange traded fund, which is an ETF. So it will be an ETF. They're applying for it as the trust, but it will be an ETF. If you actually take a look at the actual documents that were kind of done, I haven't been able to read through the whole thing because this happened while we were on the show. So I've just been high level skimming some of it and seeing like what other people have been able to find. But yeah, that's where my head's at right now. This is a big win. Hopefully this gets approved. I think we're going to see some volatility here. I do think we're going to see some volatility here, back and forth. I'm wildly bullish on this price action wise, and I just posted an updated chart again. If you want to pull that up, showing where we are on the price action wise for Solana. We're back into this yellow box. We break over 149. We're going right up to
you
the
tweeted
green.
this during the show. You just hammered off this tweet while also reading the report. Is insane to me. But okay,
you got to be, dude. If you're not working, what are you really doing? That's the thing, you know. That's the thing. So I do think we get back into this green box area, that 180 area. I want a daily close over 150, and that means we're officially out of this like kind of gross downtrend we've been seeing here. But the market seems to be waking up a little bit, and I cannot wait to tell Nick I told you so.
Yeah. And so Easy, last thing on this, we saw the recovery from Solana earlier this week, right? After it was kind of panic on Twitter. And during that recovery, we did see a substantial run on Solana meme coins. Today, this is different. I will say it's not happening where meme coins are basically a beta, right? A Solana beta. We're pretty much seeing Solana outgain a lot of these meme coins right now on Sol. What do you make of that?
So when you say Solana outgaining them,
I mean, Bonk is up 3% on the day. Solana's up 7%.
Yeah, but you give it another like 6 hours, and I think Bonk outpaces it. It's just a matter of how hard the sell-off was yesterday.
Got it.
Like, go back one tab too, and let's take a look at some of these other meme coins on Sol. Because when you start to look at this too, like, I mean, dude, scroll down a tad bit. Bohm is up 5%. You got a bunch of stuff. Muse up 3.5%. Popcat's up 10%. Memes will outpace, but that's the other thing. If Sol's ripping here, I'm more interested in new meme coins. This is like when Sol rips, this is where I'm really interested because the rest of the market kind of heats up. And honestly, dude, this might sound crazy. If you are not doing anything tonight, if you're doing absolutely nothing, there's a presidential election going on tonight. Or not election, a presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. All right? They're going to be up there on stage yapping. Okay? You sit there. You pull up Bullex or Photon. You watch Pump Fun. And when one of the two bozos says something outlandish, you ape that very first ticker that's off of that. Whatever makes you laugh, you ape that first goddamn ticker. And you sell that thing. You get it in and out. The entire debate. There's going to be so many debate tickers. There's going to be so much absolute nonsense tonight that you can absolutely cook on meme coins tonight. If Sol's ripping, there's a presidential debate tonight, and meme coins are cooking right now, This is like, I know you and me are Miami guys now, dude. And there's hurricanes. They call it a perfect storm. This is a goddamn hurricane in the most beautiful way for meme coins tonight. The most beautiful meme coin situation.
Should I? Well, dude, I can't do the meme coin trading on pump.fun. I just get slaughtered when I do it. You are a seasoned vet, so you're probably gonna feast tonight. Why wouldn't I buy just Bowden? Is that a crazy thing to do? Like,
I think Bowden's good because if Trump says it, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. I think Bowden's a two-sided thing. If he somehow doesn't look like an idiot tonight, it rallies. If Trump calls him Bowden at some point tonight, it rallies.
Dude, should I just buy some Bowden right now? I mean, 100 mil. This is highway robbery. What am I missing here? Is this thing a scam? $99 million market cap. What's the all-time high on this bad boy? Is this just the steal of the century, Bowden on Solana? What are these? What's this TA I've been doing on it? Okay, interesting. Okay, look, hey, all-time high of 600 million. I'm gonna take a flyer here. I'm gonna get my feet wet in this. People are saying it's all over, so I don't know. Maybe I'm out to lunch on it. But okay, easy. I really like that play. So that's what you're gonna be doing tonight. Pull up pump.fun. Pull up BullX, and you're just going to be all over these political meme coins.
You basically have to. So I'm firing off another tweet here. Get a comfy chair. Get fast Wi-Fi. Open up BullX or Photon. Stare at Pump Fun new pairs. When the debate says something dumb, funny, or outlandish, you ape the hell out of the first meme on there. Sell it for a 3 to 5x. Rinse and repeat.
Okay, I like it. I'm not opposed to it. Signal, since you've been gone, we've migrated the conversation from Solana ETF to gambling on pump.fun meme coins during the political debate tonight.
It's a no-brainer. This is the easiest capital right now with where the market is. Sol pumping, Solana meme coins pumping, a presidential debate between two of the dumbest possible candidates we could have on either side. All right.
So what are we looking for? Easy. Shit. But what are we looking for? Are we just looking for catchphrases? Because you're obviously going to have the names. You're going to have the names. Yes. Any of the boat, like the names of the candidates.
Screw the names.
So what are we looking for? You need
something funny, something dumb. The first interruption that happens, because they have like this weird mic situation where you won't fully be able to hear the interruptions, I guess. But both parties are each going to say, I would say minimum 2 to 3 things that are memeable. 2 to 3 things that are memeable. And you
give me an example, please.
When like the Let's Go Brandon thing that happened at the NASCAR race, perfect example. If Trump then says Brandon on stage instead of Biden, a Brandon ticker will launch. You ape the hell out of it. Maybe 3 or 4 launch. I'm not saying you throw like 5-10 Sol in it. Will a Solana at it. You see 2 more launch, throw a Solana at them. One of those will give you a 5x. You're going to recoup costs. These will absolutely go to 0. Some, I'm sure, will rally tonight. You'll see a couple probably hit $1 million market cap. I don't care about that. I'm looking to get in at like 20K, sell it at 150, 200K, make a clean 7 to 10x in 15 minutes. The volume tonight is going to be crazy. Over the last 2 days, we saw Mike Vance, I think is the guy's name, who's the potential front runner for the VP of Trump, and Vivek. No. Vance is the guy. I forget what his first name is. He's in Senate. Vance, Senate. Well, give me a sec. Oh, JD Vance. JD Vance is the guy's name. It's between him and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are the 2 guys that a lot of people are speculating on who becomes the VP. When this news came out the other day, a shitcoin called Vivek dropped. I sold it from 50K at 200K. It ran to 2.9 million. Immediately realized that JD Vance was probably the next potential one, because he was the one that a lot of people were like, this might be the guy. I saw the JD Vance ticker launch, got in at 40K, sold it at 200K. It went to like 400 before fizzling out. But that's the narrative you can play into here. Everything right now is the attention economy side of it. And with the debate, the first debate, this is where the most of the attention is going to be. Hands down.
Got it. Well, some alpha from Easy Signal. Anything to I know you want to say something.
I like it. Depending what time I have to check what time the debate is on. If it's on at a reasonable time for
2 a.m. for you.
Yeah, your toes.
Sorry.
So-
Yeah.
Sorry, Izzy. I'm not gonna be trading
No, that's
meme
fair.
coins
I
at
know
2
it's
a.m.
like
but,
9 p.m. Eastern time. It's so bad.
You'll have a good time. And to be honest, I'll probably get wrecked anyway and probably hit a drainer or some kind of bad meme coin on this kind of stuff. But I expect this is your home. This is where you're going to do really well on these low cap meme coins. So, I mean, like, and I just made my blast bag. I don't want to lose it yet. And put it all into like degenning. So I'll get my 9 hours sleep, but GLGL will speak tomorrow about how you did.
Yeah, the UK, you know, hey, it's cool, Signal. You don't have to, like, America's just working harder where you're getting outworked by the Americans. This is like easy tonight is going to be like going to the Green Bay Packers. There's like Lambeau Field in like early 2000s where they're just unbeatable. He's got the home field advantage when you're going to meme coins, just as degenerate as it gets. Easy's licking his chops right now.
I couldn't sleep last night. I was sitting there, felt like Christmas. I was like, you guys are really going to let me do this? Like, one, you're going to let me nail the Solana bottom. You're going to let me nail, like, to the dollar, nail the Solana bottom. Last time I did this, Sol was $8. You're going to let me do this again? And then immediately start to see meme pumps. You're going to give me a Solana pump the same day of a presidential debate after watching VP candidates run yesterday. This is like, I'm in heaven, dude. I'm going to be sitting there, 16 monitors, 4 of them on the debate, all 4 different angles so I can see if they're like touching their pockets, sniffing their nose. What you got to watch for the body mannerisms because it's going to be like Trump Coke if he goes like this. If Biden falls asleep, you're going to get Sleepy Joe tickers. You got to be ready for it. You got to be on it. Someone in the audience does something outlandish. You got to have every angle, every camera. All right. I'm going to be CCTVing this debate. All right. I'm going to be all over this damn thing. And then on the other 4 screens, you got to have Twitter up. All right. You got to start looking at some of these top political tweeters because they say something dumb. It's going to get picked up. It's going to be round with. All right. Maybe we mix in a little bit of the memery. All right. We got to see because you got to see what pictures get put up there. All right.
Well, and you also have to be tweeting. You have to be constantly
Got to be tweeting. Got to be live tweeting. Engagement's crucial. Engagement's crucial. But it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I think we see a couple thousand X's tonight, at least 1 or 2.
Damn. And we had, well, I mean, look, this is God bless America. There's nothing like the United States of America than gambling on meme coins, depending on memes that are created from our presidential candidates debating with each other. And Marky Metaverse in the comments said that Doug Burgum is the dark horse and front runner for VP. You got to buy AKA Doug Burgum Dog on Solana. I mean, he's all over it. So Easy's fired up. Let's get the show on the road. We're 30 minutes in. Before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to the partner of today's show, Uncaged. They're going to be joining us in a little bit later on in the show. Before that, Easy, I know we've talked about them before, but to give our audience a super quick, up-to-date report on everything they need to know about Uncaged, what do they need to know? 30 seconds or less. Let's hit it.
Dude, Uncaged right now, you can play right now. It's live on test play on Google Chrome and Apple Play Store. It's a turn-based soccer game. So when you start up the game, you actually get a hero card, a special character, a main character for your team. You can get new players, draft new players. They have various skills. So as you take turns in the game, taking actions, you're playing. It's very similar, in my opinion, to something like a card version of FIFA. And it's a lot of fun, completely on mobile playable right now. You draft your team, you compete online against real people, you go back and forth, taking turns, figuring out where to go. There's strategy based on top of sports. It's probably hands down the most fun I've had on a mobile game in a very long time. The gameplay sessions are extremely quick. We're talking 4 minutes at most. So it's not a huge time commitment. They have their MBS token live right now, which you can also get into for in-game items, in-game actions, in-game drafting players, a whole mess of stuff. So Uncaged launched in 2021 under Solana Monkey Ball before renaming to Uncaged Games, and they've done an incredible job. It's been awesome to work with them. Like I said, gameplay is a ton of fun. It looks polished despite it only being on test flight and still in beta. So that's a huge win in my opinion. The gameplay is extremely smooth. There's some, like I said, the strategy aspect of it is very nice when you mix it in. It feels like a card game of sports, and yet it's fast enough where when you're playing online, you have to be quick and decisive on making these moves. And they did a great job to make it feel completely unique. So incredible job by Uncaged. If you haven't checked it out, you can go on right now to Uncaged Games. Check them out. Check out their Twitter. You can download the game right from the website. Absolute smash hit.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, guys. On my camera literally just died. I'm at a new setup. This is a yurt that you guys are seeing. It's a tent-like dome figure, a dome structure that we are getting sorted here. I apologize for my camera, but Easy, thank you for that. And go check them out at uncaged.games. We're going to be joined by the team in just a little bit. Appreciate the breakdown, Easy. Signal, let's take it away with this weather report. A little bit late into the show, but I mean, we got fired up. Solana.
It's Thursday. It's
Yeah.
June 27th. Let's look at that crypto roundup. Bitcoin's at 61,350. Ethereum is up 2% to 3,450. And Solana, well, it's way more up than $139. Those figures are a little bit wrong. But today's move of the day is Dollar Jason by artist Jason Derulo. It's actually up 90% to 29 million market caps. Hasn't completely rugged yet. And Bitcoin ETF inflows are positive on back-to-back days for the first time since June 6th. Over the past 24 hours, the highly anticipated Blast token began trading following the airdrop. It debuted at a market cap of 330 million and the FDV of 2 billion, largely underperforming expectation. Blast also announced a second season of Blast incentives. This time it's going to last 1 year. Yes, you are going to actually age in the time of this second season. The token proceeded to pump 50% to 500 million before a pullback overnight and was listed on Coinbase. Secondly, over on the ETFs, Reuters reported that the Ethereum ETF could be cleared as soon as July 4th, Independence Day, just 2 days after the initial reports from the Bloomberg bros, James and Eric. Ethereum holds a steady 3,400. And then lastly, as part of the settlement of the Dapper Labs class action lawsuit, NBA Top Shot moment holders are expected to receive a payback of 12 cents per moment. They held a resolution for an organization that took the NFT world by storm in early 2021. So you're going to get your 12 cents on that dollar. That is all for the weather report. It is back to you folks in the studio.
Bingo. Yeah, I saw a Signal. I saw a lot of people saying that they have like thousands of moments and that they're going to get like a pretty like tens of thousands of moments. So you get, you know, a couple $1,000. So nice resolution from that lawsuit for Top Shot. But look, we have a 10 to 15 minutes or so before our guests are going to be joining us. I want to talk about Blast. I don't necessarily, there's a couple things we can tackle on it. There's the price action perspective, which I'm pretty interested in, but I'm also more interested in the overall ecosystem of what you guys make of L2s in general compared to the FDV and compared to what we were talking about yesterday of like major chains. Blast in general vastly underperformed expectations. I don't know if it's bag bias. I don't know if it's it's a factor of different things, but Signal, we didn't have you on the show yesterday. What did you we saw Blast debut at 330 million or so, literally below Blur. And then we saw it run up to about 500 million. It's currently sitting at a 420 million market cap. We saw the 12 months of gold season 2, which I think is going to largely decrease the amount of people farming the chain. And then we saw kind of a couple other things that were outlined in the overall Blast vision. That's all to say. I'm curious just to hear what you feel or how you thought that all of Blast went yesterday.
Yeah, I think in terms of like when you know, as a bag holder, it definitely came in under expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be that low. However, if I'm not a bag holder, it's actually in line with how airdrops have been going so far. I didn't want it to be like that, but if I just try and remove my bias, I think all of the airdrops we've had since in the last sort of like 8 weeks have been pretty underwhelming. So it's kind of like in line with sentiment. How I feel personally, I think like I mean, look, at the end of the day, whether you want to call this free money or not free money, I'm happy with what I took away from this. Going into season 2, because it's a year long, I won't be like farming the chain in as intensely as I have been in these last 3 months. There are definitely dApps that I would just not use. So say, for example, District 1, if District 1 had even bothered to do what they said they were going to do and had actually been the app they were in Epoch 1, I still wouldn't use them for the rest of the year because it's one of these apps where you had to come in, check your time, like check in 4 times a day, you're rallying, blah, blah, blah. It's just too time intensive. So how I'm thinking about Blast, I'm not going to stop farming it, but I'm just going to use the chain, just use the apps that I like and do a lot of passive farming on there. I won't be putting as much sort of active time into it going into season 2 as I did in season 1. I'll be looking for more passive plays and stuff that I actually enjoy doing. So I'm kind of glad it's just like 1 year, and also lower my expectations of what will the environment be 1 year from now. I think we're in quite a sober environment. If we're looking into June 2025, the world will be a lot more different in crypto. I don't even want to predict what that is. I have no idea. But overall, I would say like I was happy with how it went. I think the people who were disappointed are perhaps the people who were looking at statistics which were way higher and thinking, like everyone was like blasphemous and all this kind of thing. I think those people had quite high expectations, thinking they were going to like walk away with a good percentage of their retirement package. And those are the people who are probably fudding it the most, as well as the people who didn't farm at all and are like, look how much, it is compared to XYZ meme coin on XYZ chain.
100% signal. I personally even had some bag bias going into it. You get caught up in this ecosystem where you only see other posts from people within that ecosystem, and it's hard to actually break out of it. What I also thought was interesting, signal, and I'm going to throw to Easy in a second, was I feel like what I liked about Blast and the incentives behind it, and why I'm kind of not as excited about the 12 months of Blast farming or whatever it is, the season 2 of incentives, is the incentives created a risk on environment where people were willing to just toss around money like there was no tomorrow because it was being subsidized by gold. So what that created is literally like a perfect storm for trading, because people were just throwing money around like there was no tomorrow, like Fantasy Top, for example, or Pacman. Like all these things were it was easier to trade in. Basically, you're playing with like a cheat code. Right now, it's going to be significantly nerfed, which for me on the trading front is less exciting to me now, because I know that people are going to be more cautious with their capital because it's not being subsidized by gold at such a rapid rate. That was the only thing I was thinking about recently. Easy, I'll throw over to you on the kind of price action perspective. I know you bought the dip yesterday.
Yeah,
You
I bought 20
allocated
grand worth at 0.021, I think was my average buy. So I went in with some size, about the same.
What was your thought process? Because I know Kicks as well bought in.
So we were talking, and it was basically like the entire timeline's so bearish that feels like a no-brainer trade. Like, if the whole market is currently sitting here saying that a 2 bill FDV, you guys are idiots for farming this, you all called for 7. That means that, and when you look at it, there's meme coins higher than a 2 billion FDV. Despite the amount of volume that Blast was doing, it was pretty damn clear that there was an undervalued aspect here, and you just needed to wait till claims flipped like 60-70% total claimed for the sellers to basically run out of tokens. We then got the Coinbase announcement listing. We then got MEXC, which means tokens need to be acquired in order to sell into those order books. So that to me was the most bullish sign, where I was like, okay, the bottom has to be in near here. I was going to keep buying down to 1.5 bill, but it ended up bottoming at like 1.9. So I only had that one buy get through. I had some staggered buys in lower size to basically bring the cost basis down. And that was where my head was like, okay, Blast feels undervalued, especially with season 2 coming up and no new tokens hitting the market for a year. Like, that's the low float, high FDV situation Kobe's been talking about to a T. So this is going to end up rallying at least a 0.04, which is a 4 bill FDV. So I'm like, that's a 2x in it. And that trade asymmetrically made way more sense to me in this current moment. The thing that I'm still waiting on is like, if we incentivize holding Blast tokens on Blast, and that in turn gives you a much larger boost, then it's going to do the same thing that Blur did when Blur dropped season 2 and they incentivized staking it for at least a short term. Like, people are going to forget about this, get tired of it, want the capital out. But a short-term trade for a 2x, you should try to take those.
So is your stance, Easy, that Pacman still has some cards up his sleeve that he hasn't revealed
100%.
yet?
100,000%. I think Pacman has not shown the full playbook. His entire thing, that pitch he did, to me, felt like a pitch to a raise, to do another raise and get more capital and show the strength of this ecosystem. When he said, I want to be the number 1 L2, I think he will be. Like, That man is on a mission right now to be the number one L2. There's nothing else in my mind sitting here that has me thinking that he won't achieve that. And that's why I'm like, okay, the number one L2 would be closer to a 5 to 7 billion where you have Arbitrum and Optimism. So ultimately he would need to get to about a 9 billion FTV to lock in as the number one L2.
And you're talking strictly by market cap. So here's the other thing I want to throw at you guys is like, and I don't know, I haven't dug deep. Literally, I mean, I've used Polygon a couple times. I've used like a base, but like the only layer 2 I've really only ever been interested in has been Blast. So I don't have a lot of perspective at like Arbitrum actually is impressive in terms of this. Like I was looking at TVL and like bridged ETH over there, and that's in a non-farming environment. Right. So it is, those metrics are interesting. The other thing I was thinking about is like, why like Easy and Signal, if Blast does become the number one L2 or dominates in whatever metrics you're looking at, does that mean token price go up? Yes. Does that actually, why?
Because it's inherently a bet on the ecosystem. When FTV goes up, token tends to increase. Rising tides lifts all boats, even without incentives. Like that's the thing. It's like, even without incentives, I think that if the Blast FTV goes up, inherently that token price rises. And the only goal Pacman has right now is increase that FTV. Like that's his only goal.
But and like TVL, yeah, Signal, go ahead.
Sorry, but also as well, Clemente, like as someone who's been a participant in the space, I would say like, there were definitely good applications. There are definitely good applications within the Blast ecosystem, but there are definitely some really poor ones as well. And I'd really like to see those ones just like disappear. But I'm more interested to see like, well, which teams are going to now come to build on Blast so it now rises in the ranks to become number 5, number 4, number 3 chain. Like to your point, I don't really go to other L2s unless I really have to. So like I'm happy to go to base, pretty easy, but like my experience of going over to other chains is not always that simple. And also as well, there has to be a real compelling reason for me to go over there, whether it's I'm buying a meme token or whether it's, you want to use a specific app or whether there's an opportunity. I remember like last year, I believe we had the Reddit avatars over on Polygon. So you had everybody running around just being like, hey, can you send me some Matic? Does anyone have any Matic? Like, people aren't necessarily, degenning on other chains in this current environment unless there's a compelling reason. So what I want to see is like, are there new teams coming in building apps that people want to use? That is what I want to see over the next 12 months, whether there is an incentive or whether there isn't. I think the existing apps have to really make users want to stay. There are a lot of apps I'm just simply not going to use. I'm never going back into District 1. Other ones like I hate them so much. There's other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head, but ones that I'm just never going to use because I was only doing it because of gold. And now I'm left with maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 applications that I would actually use. So I'm interested to see what will be the reasons that existing apps will what kind of features will existing apps bring in so they can attract new users and retain the current users, and what new apps will come over to Blast to actually want to build there? Because this is all part of ecosystem building and getting to the goal of becoming the number 1 chain. Got it.
Yeah, and the reason I bring these points up is because I found myself yesterday, like seriously, with just an inherent bias of like pro Blast, pro these things, and I like wanted to take the counter approach and be like, okay, am I actually making the right decision holding this airdrop? What's the plan? Am I really trying to hold this for 3 months, 6 months? Is it better to just hold ETH, right? At what point do I sell Blast for ETH and use that ETH within the ecosystem? What I will say on the Blast ecosystem as a whole, downloading that app and being forced to do it or whatever it was, but then going into that app and being like, oh, like if they build this full stack piece within Blast and I have a wallet in there and I can integrate within apps and I can literally bridge money from my bank account directly to this, it could be really freaking awesome. Like, I'm not going to lie, it could be very interesting to just literally, instead of having a bank account, basically just have my money in Blast or USDB and hold it in there. And then it earns whatever that yield is, right? Like there are parts about it that are super freaking cool. And I'm like, oh, damn, like if zooming out and not thinking about how can I make a 2% or like a 2x in the next 3 weeks or whatever it is, when I was thinking about Blast, and zooming out and thinking about like the next 3 years was interesting. So yeah, we're gonna have the UNKJD team joining us in just a second, but within Blast as a whole, we'll see. I'm a little bit nervous on it from the short-term price action, but it certainly is interesting hearing how you guys are thinking about it. Easy, Signal, have you held you're holding your Blast airdrop bag here?
Yeah, no, yeah, I got a bit nervous, but I was like, no, I'm not selling day one, because the history of airdrops is selling on day one tends not to be the most winning strategy. I don't have like a quantitative take on that, but just qualitative, and the feeling that I've seen over airdrops I've participated and have not participated in. The first day tends not to be the day you know, if you're trying to time a better price, the first day is not the day to be selling. So I just left it, went about, did my thing, kept an eye on it, but I'm still holding my bag.
And why do you guys think this thing debuted at such a low comparative to expectations? Was it the fact that our expectations were just so inflated? Is it like, I'm looking at this thing it debuted below.
I don't think expectations were inflated. I think the issue is the buyer market isn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's no incentive to buy the token. Zero. There is no incentive to buy the token right now. So when you start to get down to the root of it and the core of the fact that there's zero reason for you to actually purchase this token, that's it. That's the most simple way to look at this. Like, until we have some level of reason to purchase said ticker, there isn't a need to buy it. The thing though is, to the point, they're gamifying the hell out of this. The more Blast you own, the more scratch off tickets you get. The more Blast you own, like, they're just making it a gambling platform. And I'm here for it, dude. This space loves to gamble. We watch these whales buy Rolexes and APs in hopes of Blast Gold. Like, that's the thing. And the other thing is, like, dude, I'm not the smartest MF on the timeline by far. Like, I'm pretty dumb. And when I see these people way smarter than me aping around the same area I did, I'm like, I feel good. I see Mando, OSF, Cyrus, all buying that 0.022 to 0.018 area. I'm like, oh, I did the right thing. I'm in good hands. I'm following the right people on this trade because I've watched their journeys. I've watched what they look for. Those are great traders. And that to me is like a bullish sign. And we still do not have a reason for buyers to step in. When you have a reason for buyers to step in, this price will adjust. And I think we are undervalued here. I still think we're undervalued.
Yeah, and
I do think expectations were too high, Easy. I agree with everything you said, except that expectations were because literally the timeline was the day before it's Blastmas. You know, like literally everyone was acting as if this is the payday they have been waiting for since they discovered crypto. Like, that was the sentiment on the timeline. I think expectations were a lot higher. And this has just sobered everyone up. It sobered everyone up that this is the current climate that we are in. And Blast has launched in line with how previous airdrops have done. So, but look, I still think it's done well. It just hasn't done well. It just hasn't done as well as people were expecting, given the last 3 months of work they've done, and also given how much some people put in. I think that's another thing as well. Some people put a lot of capital into this, like a lot of capital, and made some huge losses. And in their mind, they were going to offset that loss on this airdrop. So for some, this has definitely not been profitable and under expectation. So I think it really depends how you managed your, like, what was your risk management over these last 3 months?
There were people saying 100%. There's people that were literally saying, if Blast Gold estimates are $8, I'm going to be conservative and call it $5. And if my cost basis per gold is $2.50, I'm making a 2x on my investment, right? All those people got smoked. All those people got absolutely smoked. And that was part of, I think, the negativity in it. But overall, like Easy was saying, it was positive. Like, it's free money, but it's free money that you also probably spent hundreds or tens of hours farming, right? There is that cost of it as well. So
yeah, and this is a really good point. Sorry, like, sorriness. Like, there were a lot of people who were like, instead of putting that time into Blast, you could have just bought a meme coin. You would have 10, 20x. If I could predict which meme coin that I need to put to get my 10, 20x, guys, I wouldn't even be on this stream. I would just be behind my computer, putting in my money into these meme coins that are going to go into the future in 10, 100x. Like, if I could do that, I would do it, but I don't. So for me, I think that's a silly argument, because you're assuming that person could run the bankroll up to the expected amount that you thought Blast would give you by picking meme coins and running them to the all-time high. Yep. That is not an opportunity cost. That is just pure gambling and hoping that is going to pay off.
It's degenerate gambling to the 9th degree. You are sitting there hammering buttons, and I'm not terrible at it. Like, I'm horrible at it. Like, when I say horrible at the aspect of constantly gambling. I enjoy it. I like the dopamine hit of a meme coin. But to sit there and say that you had a better risk return opportunity to trade meme coins than Blast, you are smoking on literal spice. Like K2. Not even smoking weed at this point. You're smoking synthetic garbage, killing your brain. Like, you're an idiot. That's it. Like, I don't care what you have to say. Yes, your time was used. Correct. Time is an issue to you. Go put ETH in there and forget about it. ETH went up over the last 3 months. Shocker. And you got yield. So there is your asymmetric bet of making money on the ETH, getting blur points, blast points, whatever the hell you got, and getting free money on top of it. Probably wasn't a lot. On top of that, there's more than 5 totally free opportunities you could have participated in. The counter argument to that is, yes, you would have needed the alpha. Go look on the amount of times I shilled the totally free opportunities. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. You could have looked at my timeline over the last 3 months. Every other week, I was posting the 5 free opportunities you could have done. Wolf Game had a 0 cost basis because you got a free gold sheep. District 1, terrible gold release, totally free to play. Literally $0. You played the Fantasy Top Testnet, you got an entirely free deck that you could have continued to play with for the entirety of the season. Completely free. Pacman, go create content. You're literally given free money over the last 4 months. 4 months. You could have been doing that and getting completely free capital to then do whatever the hell you want with it. Play Cambria, another opportunity completely free that you could have participated in. That's what I look at here, and I'm just like, the arguments drive me insane, because it's like, yeah, sure, your time was the cost. Did you have to spend any money? Theoretically, no. If you did, you could have earned more. That's the argument. But this move could have been totally free to you.
It's the art. Well, and the other thing is, so easy. The other thing I want to throw at you is, before this Blast TGE, you talked about how, depending on how this goes, the airdrop meta might be over. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but by that airdrop meta, it's like people going in and using an ecosystem and then receiving like 6-figure airdrops and like free money literally raining from the sky. Do you feel like the airdrop meta has ended?
No, I don't think so. I think the points meta may be over, where there's a public leaderboard where you're seeing how many points and you're doing moon boy math to figure out what your points equal in dollar values. I still think Jupiter did the best airdrop of all time, hands down. They never told you about the airdrop. They just said, if you've been using the platform, we're rewarding you. That's it. Like, that's where I'm like, this is a win. That is a win. And now we know what's happening again next year. We know Blast is going to be the same way. Like, yeah, they still have points, which I just think points in general exist to just show you how much volume you've done. But overall, I don't think like points for rewards is like where I'm like, yeah, no, this is dumb. Like, I think in general, I like the low-key airdrops. I think using dApps you're interested in that reward users for using said dApps will be the airdrop winners. Things like Jito did a great job. Camino flopped because it was a bad time. You had Parcel flop because it was kind of tough. But like, look at ENS. Look at the like, that was one of the best airdrops of all time, and no one knew it was coming, or else everyone would have bought the ENS, the .eth. Like, those are the best ones because they truly reward organic participants. That's it. Uni, yeah, the Uniswap ticker, same thing. Jupiter did the same thing as them, where they just rewarded people for using the chain. And I wasn't farming Jupiter. I literally got rewarded for being a diehard Solana person who loves the chain, who loves trading, and just got rewarded for it.
Easy, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think like it's interesting that the ones that you've mentioned are all the ones which have done well, the ones which no one knew that were coming, right? So you just mentioned Jito, you just ENS, Uni. But when you have an airdrop which is known, obviously you're going to have an influx of people coming to do it. And so to Clemente's point, I do see airdrops won't stop. I think maybe they'll stop in years to come, because it'll become so saturated that it like people aren't incentive. Basically, the move will become too saturated. But I think what we've seen this year, at least, play out is that there's been diminishing returns. So people's expectations are at ENS, but the truth is they're coming out pretty flat at the moment. And so I think people need to just rewire their expectations of what they will get from an airdrop, and don't wire it to 2021, wire it now to 2024. As this meta sort of potentially fizzes, I do see it coming back. And then we'll have again these kind of ENS uni type drops, and there will be a cycle. But I think some people just need to understand that you're not going to walk away with your retirement of the next 10 years with some of these airdrops. We're now back to being more muted in what is a more muted environment in general for crypto right now as we go through sideways summer. Don't forget, ENS was 2021, which was peak euphoria.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, 100%. I see where you guys are coming from. We're going to see where it plays out. Overall, I mean, just a quick update on Blast. We're at 400 and something million market cap, which is right around, I think it's top 130 market cap. So overall, all these points, I appreciate you guys sharing. But we're going to move on a little bit here in terms of the show, shift gears to having Uncaged on the show. Super excited for this. Before we kick things off, we have Shahaf joining us and Tal joining us in just a second. Shahaf, welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you on. Shahaf, to give people a quick teaser, a quick intro, you are the chairman at Uncaged Studios, and you are the CEO of the Cody Network, COTI. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to give I know we kicked things off. We've been partnering for about 2 weeks now. A lot of users, a lot of our audience has been asking questions. They want to get to know you guys, the team, and understand a little bit about what you guys are building. So to give them just an intro, right? If you had to give them a high level overview of Uncaged at a high level, what you guys are building, and more specifically within the game, what would that look like?
Sure. So we're a AAA studio. The founders of the studio come from Playtika. So co-founder is Raz Friedman. He took Playtika from 4 people to 4,000 people, and throughout his tenure, he built 10 of the top 100 top grossing games in Apple Store forever. So essentially, Raz did 20 billion in revenue, and sort of invented free-to-play. The GM of the studio is Tal Friedman. Tal is Raz's brother, and he was the GM of House of Fun, and Bingo Blitz, and Soromania. So amazing games out there. So they brought in about 50 other ninjas to build a massively successful game. Cody, which I co-founded in 2017, is one of the first layer ones out there. So we've been in crypto pretty early on, and we begin this experience to kind of build together a studio that is native to Web3. So we've recently launched, on specific geos, the first game called Uncaged Soccer. So essentially, it's a tactics game. Essentially, it's a soccer game played on a chessboard, and we're building, Web3 economy around it. Throughout time, we'll release, more games in the series, more sports games, and other games. So for those who kind of really want to how to think about us, it's not a few crypto bros venturing into games. It's gaming OGs that are building a AAA studio with Web3 components that are native to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tal, thank you for joining as well. within, I mean, you guys have the thing I'm trying to think about is you guys have just obviously crushed Web2 gaming or mainstream gaming in general. Why get into crypto? Why get into Web3 where you have NFT holders? You have people saying, what does this do for the game, for the token? Like all of these things. There's pros and cons to it, but I'm curious why you've had so much success in Web2. Why get into Web3?
Well, I'll take this one. I'll start off by saying that I think, and I've said it before, I think it's a misconception to even think that there is such a thing as a Web 2 or a Web 3 game. There are only games out there, just games. Web 2 and Web 3 are more about distribution, monetization, and ownership. So you have specific things that are happening in that sense in Web 2 and then in Web 3. And the analogy that I love giving is, the game of soccer versus the business of soccer. And this is how we see things. So, soccer, you can play with your friends, you can play with your kids. There is no expectation of value other than fun, than the core essence of the game. And this is what we're building with Uncaged Soccer. We're building a game that is a lot of fun. Then there is the business of soccer. Because soccer is such a great fun, there's a huge business around it. You have professional players and merchandise and stadiums and TV rights and everything, but it happens around the game because the game is fun. It's not the other way around. Nobody started playing soccer because he likes the business and the merchandise, right? So we think of Web3 as the economy that wraps behind the game. Obviously, there will be, we're on the App Store and on Google Play. There will obviously be, free-to-play monetization techniques and all of that. But we are building a robust economy around the game. So you don't even have to play the core game, but you can be part of the economy. You can own players, you can own skins, you can trade, you can do financial transactions, all of that. The same way you can be a coach or you can have merchandise, you can be all the other things that are happening in the business of soccer. So this is why.
Yeah, and within, and I actually want to throw to an easy. I don't know if you have any questions as well, but I'll throw to Tal in a second. Tal, welcome to the show. I know we had some little bit of some issues on different links and all that. So glad to have you in here. I appreciate you joining us. In terms of I want to ask a little bit about strategy and how you guys are thinking. I'm very curious how you're thinking about navigating the gaming ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem. Obviously, we're in a completely different market than we were like a year ago, right? But a lot of these games take a lot of time and resources to build. And Tal, by the way, is all things strategy for everyone listening. He is the GM at Uncaged Soccer. So you've been dominating also in, I know Shahaf doesn't want me even using the Web2 gaming perspective. You have crushed just games in general before. So in terms of strategy for 2024, how are you guys thinking about marketing, whether it's to a Web 2 audience, Web 3 audience? Like, how are you guys thinking about the game as a whole and strategy for the rest of the year?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And it's a very good question because as Shahaf mentioned, it's a game and we are aiming to bring the best target audience for the game. We don't care about Web 2 or Web 3. Of course, if you look at the potential, there are billions of mobile players around the world and only a few tens of thousands, maybe Web 3 players, what we call today Web 3 players. So if we want to build a sustainable business that can become a multi-billion company, we have to go to the wide audience, and that's why we're building the game for everyone to play. Having said that, there is a very strong audience on Web3 already that can already enjoy everything we're going to introduce later this year and next year. So of course, we're going to make this audience the first go-to, and some of them are our strongest community people, and they will enjoy being the first ones joining this train, But our vision from a business perspective is, of course, to introduce Web3 without even people knowing that this is Web3 to new audiences and bringing them in. By the way, just like we used to do in all these huge titles that we've made, but we just call these people VIP players, right? So these are going to be VIP players moving to this platform, which which happens to be built on Web3 technology.
Got it. So you're more so looking at the Web3 audience as a whole and thinking of them as like your power users, almost the ones that are willing to, when you look at like early adopters, even of like someone that's willing to try the game despite maybe it's still being in its beta phase, and they'll give you feedback, they'll try it, they'll roll out like you can, and it's an active feedback loop, versus the more Web2 audience is someone that they don't even, a lot of them don't even like crypto. They hear crypto, they're like, oh, I don't want to get involved with this, right? But you're looking to kind of build this tight-knit audience here using the kind of VIP players that you were describing, get the player base strong enough, you build the game, and then eventually roll that out using the Web2 strategy that you guys have used in the past and clearly know how to kind of run that playbook.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the point, and that's how we see each audience has its different role, and each of them will play that role in a different way and have the ability to gain value in a different way. Web2 players, they don't care about cashing out, at least at this moment, but they will care about having special edition characters in the game and skins and stuff like that, that they will only be able to get if they become Web3 players without even knowing, right? But on the other side, Web3 players and audiences, they care about other stuff. Some of them don't even want to play the game. They are just kind of speculating about if this game is going to be huge and change the world. And if so, they want to hold some of its assets to maybe be part of it in the future. So it's definitely separating them and using both of them as customers in different cases.
Yeah. And
if I may, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Please.
No, if I may, I would just kind of like, following that, would kind of like want to lay out the strategy, right? We plan to build a massively successful core game and distribute it to millions of players. And it's not just Web3 players, as Tal mentioned. And the team has done this before to hundreds of millions of players. It's a fact. Hundreds of millions of players and generated billions in revenue. That is the basis of things. On top of that, we've built a straightforward value proposition to holders of Web3 assets, whether it's unique items that you can't get otherwise, skins, ownership, discounts at a store, VIP, all of that is baked into the Web3 economy around the game. Now, you have that as a second floor, and then the idea is that as the amounts of players grow, and we'll do user acquisition in millions, same way it was done in Playtika, Playbook, and all the other studios that Scopely, the other studios that the team came from. So we'll do user acquisition in millions and have a huge user base, and that will grow the demand for the Web3 assets. This will be the gateway. This is how we see things. It's very straightforward. We know we can build a huge Web2 game, quote unquote. Now we need to have an excellent Web3 utility on top of it and bind it together. And so that's the playbook. That's what we're going to do, in the upcoming 2 years.
Got it. And I appreciate you guys sharing that perspective. It's like easy. Go ahead. I know. Well, Easy.
I do have a question here. I've played the game. I've been enjoying it. It's a ton of fun. You guys have absolutely crushed it. It's been a blast to play, which is awesome. I know that you guys had switched the name to UNKJD Games. So I'm curious if there's going to be more games in the ecosystem outside of this.
Yes, definitely. We actually, we don't talk about this a lot, but we are building an infrastructure behind the scenes, which will actually allow us to easily develop the next titles. Like if a normal title in this size would take a few years to develop, the next title will take less than a year. So we're actually designing, like the plan is to have a new title every new year, so that at the end we'll have plenty of sports. And by the way, which will share the same ecosystem and the same currency, probably even some of the same characters. So that's what's cool about it. And it's also supporting us in a marketing way, which by the way, haven't been done by all the big gaming companies yet, But the ones that are doing that strongly, which by the way, if you see Supercell pushing players from Brawl Star now to their new title,
Yep.
so and using the same assets, so you understand it's not only Web3, but Web3 will empower much stronger economy around it. So the world is going there anyway, but Web3 will allow us to do much more things than what everyone are doing today.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And then on the other side of that too, I know that the Uncaged game right now, the soccer game and the tactics-based soccer game is currently still in beta. When are you guys anticipating kind of moving it beyond beta out of test flight directly to the App Store?
So working on such a title with the aim to market it with millions and bring a lot of players is a very delicate thing that you should not open too early, okay? Because you might waste all this money. And there's a very clear stats that you need to get to. And it's actually like an ongoing roadmap of delivering. First, you need to see the retention is good and the engagement in the game. And this is, by the way, why we are opening up slowly different geographics. We're exploring how it works in first in Brazil and Spain, and now we're in Canada. And we're checking all the target audiences to make sure we're not gonna go too early. And having said that, of course, we're aiming towards the end of this year. Still, we're currently on track for that. So, most big games go through this phase, but we just don't know that. But all the big titles went through that. All the success, if it's Monopoly Go, that if you heard about it, and Brawl Stars, and every game by Supercell goes the same way, and this is where we are now.
I love to hear that. It's absolutely awesome. This is massive. Like I said, the game's a ton of fun. I find myself just playing it constantly at this point. I think you guys took a very innovative approach to a sports-based game. So very, very well done.
And for people to get involved, we saw a lot of people within our community downloading the game, the ones that could, right? Before we wrap, do you guys have any other countries you're planning on rolling this out to as far as like rollout steps? And maybe for people that are wanting to get involved, maybe not even necessarily through the game, but just want to get involved in the ecosystem, like how can they kind of get started within the Uncaged ecosystem?
So first of all, we do plan to still keep on opening up territories until the full launch. But we do it mostly from a marketing perspective. We're still not looking to increase our audience too much. We're just calibrating and testing marketing and stuff. Having said that, we also have a registration option, which we allow people from other places in the world. And this is how our community members are playing the game. And you can join that if you just go to our website. There's probably a link that will allow you to join that and register and get it through like directly in the Google Play or Test Flight for iOS. But generally speaking, I believe that in the following few months, we will open up more and more countries. And by the end of the year, it will be probably open worldwide. So yeah, there's a lot of options here.
Absolutely.
In our Web3 economy, it's based on we have Gen Zero NFTs, and originally these were players, but we'll have some extra added, quite amazing utility to that will be published, I think, in the next 2 weeks. So I think people should stay tuned for that. Follow our socials and Uncaged Games. Uncaged, by the way, UNKJD, written as the cool kids will write it. So you should follow that. The other option is obviously we have a token MDS, and that will also have increased utility in the coming next 2 weeks. So yes, and our socials, of course, and our website, uncaged.com, are good places to follow our actions, and on Discord, of course.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn more, you can go to, just follow them on X at Uncaged Games. You can check out their token MBS. They also have NFTs, Gen Zero NFTs, and their website, uncaged.games. games. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I know we ran a little bit over initially, but I really enjoyed having you guys on. We're super excited to be continuing to work with you guys on all of this. I love hearing the way you guys are navigating this ecosystem. Call me crazy, but just building a really good game. And then how you guys are playing the Web3 versus Web2 is very interesting, because I think a lot of times we get stuck within our own Web3 bubble, and breaking out of it is important. So really appreciate you guys coming on, Tal Shahaf, and giving us some of your time. Catch you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Everyone, that is our show. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. If you're watching on Twitter, give us a follow at BodagosENT. If you are listening on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe at the Daily Bone Podcast. I'm going to take us home here. See you all tomorrow, 9 a.m.